everybody, welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be talking about my 365-day photography. The last time I spoke about this was on day 100, which was about 150 something days ago. 165 days ago was the last time I gave you guys an update on how my photography is going. The last photo was day 100, and that is this one of the knife on the shirt. If you want to see day 1 to 100, go back and look at that video. Again, I'm probably gonna only do every 10 days unless it's a super significant photo, just because we'll be here for so long if I'm going through 165, photos. So going on to day 110, this is a photo of my Lego kind of like film camera that I made with some books in the background. Kind of gave it a bit of a different aesthetic. I gave it more of like a dark kind of film grain look to it, took some of the saturation out. I personally think it came out looking pretty nice. I did like this photo for a number of reasons, but I feel like I could have taken it on a different surface, gave it a bit more of a bit more of life instead of just snapping and walking away. We'll go on to day 118. This was the day I got my iPhone 16 Pro Max, and I was actually going and inspecting a house, and I was parked down the street waiting, and there were like these kind of like storm clouds coming over. There was like a nice little tree hanging over, and it was just, I just shot it from my windshield and it actually turned out really nice. This photo is just significant because I didn't even get that place. I got none of the places I looked at on that day, but just the photo itself, just the whole premise of looking for a place to move out on my own, still living at my parents' place, but living at my brother's place so I could get to work. It was just such a weird time in the year, and now I'm in my own place. I live by myself. I still got my full-time job, and this photo was just kind of taken in between those two moments and was such a weird time. Going on to day 120, I hate this photo. It didn't turn out how I wanted. It's grainy but smooth, but yeah, it was meant to be chicken with gravy with a bit of stuffing, and I had this idea of how I wanted it to look in my head. Did not. I wanted it to look like a gravy river coming down the chocolate like a mountain range, and I had this really cool idea of like the stuffing looking like a rock or kind of like foliage, but it just looked like poo on meat. It did not turn out nice at all. Going on to day 130, this is a super significant photo. This was the night before I moved out of my bedroom at my parents' place. So this was the last night I ever spent in that room, and the lights on my desk were on, these exact colors, the purple. I had everything else pretty much packed up. It was just those final things that I had to quickly close up and put away. And I was looking over at where I would shoot all my videos on that desk and in that corner with the setup, and I was just looking at it, and it was just kind of sad because it was like, I will never make a video in that spot again. I will never take a photo there again. I will never sleep in this room again. I will never play games in that spot again. This is the last night of my life I will spend in this room living with my parents. And it was just kind of like a surreal feeling of like, everything changes now. Everything. And it was just very weird. Going on to day 139. This is a photo out the window of my new place where I'm staying. I'm pretty sure this is the first night that that I was here, or my first day. And it was very weird, kind of like, well, this was one of the first days of me waking up in this place, and I was just looking at the window and going, wow, okay, this is really weird. I'm like by myself, like I have this whole place to myself, like I have to look after it. It was just a very weird feeling, and that's why I kind of took this photo. Yeah, day 140 I missed because I was still moving and unpacking, plus I was working my full-time job, so it was just a lot all at once. Going on to day 143, I just want to stop at this one really quick. I really like this photo just because it's one of those old style lights with the big filaments, and it's a really cool light with a really nice orange tone. And the fact I got this photo through the bulb and you can see the reflection of it on the other side, I think this photo turned out chef kiss. I think it turned out really nice. The only thing I would have done is made it a teensy bit darker, just to really emphasize those lights. But I think it turned out really good. Going on to day 147 really quick. So this is the day I got my new freezer, or my new fridge. And in the freezer, I had some frozen ice cubes already in there, and I hadn't even set up my lighting yet. So I was like, I'm gonna use that to my advantage. So I got my lights and I set them up and turned them just straight white, no orange. I got my little, I don't even have it with me, but it's a little kind of book reading light. I got that and I turned it to the blue light, so as it shined in, it turned everything really blue. And this photo looks really good. The only thing I would change is I would add so much more denoising to it, and I would make it softer and smoother just to really emphasize that cold, and I would take some dehazing out of it just to kind of add like a foggy look, kind of like cold. But other than that, I think it turned out really nice. I just wish I made those small changes to it. But I do really like this photo, especially because it's the Benchmade bugger and those blue scales. Going on to day 150, this is of the Gerber paraframe sitting on a notebook, and it's got that little book light that's lighting it, and you can see that going through the photo, that black line. Super simple photo. I remember being completely exhausted this day, so I just snapped the first thing I could and I left. But going on to day 151, I was really enjoying just sitting there looking at coffee beans for some reason, and I wanted to take a photo of one that had a really good kind of like, I would say, guts to it, where it looks like a valley. I was using my iPhone 16 Pro Max, so I was still getting used to how to take photos with it. So I was trying to get a cool macro, but I didn't get close enough to take it. So I kind of just made it this weird zoomed out photo with like a weird wooden background. It kind of just looks like a bit of poo sitting on wood. Going up to day 156, I really like this photo because this was the first time I was ever in this laundromat. And I just kind of had this idea of the scene from Baby Driver where they're sitting there and all the clothes are spinning, and I thought that's a really cool scene, but what if it was kind of like the opposite? All the machines are empty, the doors were kind of sitting open and closed, and like there was the flooring and the wall, and it just looked it looked very like back rooms, kind of like liminal space. Like these machines, and it's just empty. Like the world around me was just empty, and it was just me sitting in there listening to the machines spin, and it was just, yeah, and it just kind of brought me back to that feeling of, you've moved out of home, you now have to go to a laundromat to wash your clothes. It was very weird. Going on to day 160, these are of my beautiful rod and gun boots. This was when they were still beautiful to me. If you want to check out the 2 reviews I've made on them, they will be pinned up in the corner. The one probably just popped up, and now the second one has probably popped up over here, somewhere over here, maybe over here, maybe over here. It'll be somewhere. If you want to check out the reviews on those boots, if you're interested in those boots, go and check it out, because I definitely give some really good feedback about them, and really open your mind to the boot industry of the world. Anyway, moving on. I'm trying to blast through these because I know it'll be a 45-minute video if I don't. Alright, let's just skip to day 170. There's really nothing in between that's super cool that I should stop on. These are my 3 knives sitting on my bedside table, my 3 choices that I like to have in my room, just because I just sit there and fidget with them. These are my favorite fidget knives. I just sit there as I'm scrolling TikTok or writing a movie script. I'm really wanting to, at the moment, this is a completely off-topic thing, I'm really deep into the idea of buying a cinema camera, that new Canon cinema camera that came out, and filming a movie. I just want to film a movie. It's something on my mind that I really want to do, and I want to write a script, and I want to find some people who are interested in acting, or even just employing some actors or something, and just filming a movie, just a short film, and it will be super crappy and the worst thing you could ever see, but it would be a learning point to where I can then learn how to actually make a short film and be able to be good at it. Because every time you start something, you're gonna be terrible. You're gonna do the worst job. It's gonna be horrendous. People are gonna watch it and go, what is this crap? This is the worst thing on earth. But 10 years from now, who knows? Who knows where you could be if you don't make that first horrible thing. And then you can look back at it and go, what the hell was I doing? And give yourself a virtual slap, because it's bad. But that's just how it is. You gotta start somewhere. Going on to day 174, nothing special about this photo, but the depth I was able to get out of this photo and the detail on the face of that watch. The camera on this phone, the iPhone 16 Pro Max, it's not messing around. It is a phenomenal camera. It is amazing, the depth you can get, and the colors and the contrast, and just the look of it. It's unbeatable. It is phenomenal. I love it. Going into day 178, because I got this new phone back then, I had this idea of, I've never taken a photo of my lens on my camera. So I took a photo of my lens on my camera, and it did not turn out how I wanted, because I was, again, still learning how to use this camera. But I think it looks really cool being able to see the layers and just the zoom function, and I thought it personally looked cool to myself. Going into day 180, this is just the Seiko Sumo, the green one I have. It's not working at the moment, so I'm actually going to be sending that off to Seiko along with the Monster, getting 2 new movements put in both of those. Then when they come back, I'm going to be doing maybe a review update on both of them, just to talk about what happened and how for you guys to avoid it. So that will be coming not soon, but in a while. Going to day 181. This is a photo I want to mention because I really like this photo. Again, taken on the iPhone 16 Pro Max, but I was absolutely blown away with how dark and gloomy of a shot. This was the first rainy day I actually had at this place, and it was bucketing down. It was pouring down outside. And I looked out at the plants with all the dead, kind of overgrown plants, and the fence that's kind of half broken and hanging down. And I was looking at it and I was thinking, I'm getting kind of some Walking Dead vibes. This would be a backyard they would jump into, and there would be these plants, and it's raining and dark and gloomy, and then I just Bing, light bulb, took a photo with my phone and it turned out really good. This is with minimal editing as well. It just looks like out of the camera, out of the software, it looked pretty much like this. It looked really, really nice. Going on to day 190, this is of the Benchmade Mini Adamas on a wooden table. It's nothing special. It's not really my favorite photo. It was kind of boring and bland and just eh. Day 191 though, this is of my Converse, what do you call it, like my material high tops in the black with the white shoelaces. These shoes look amazing in every photo you take of them. They just look so good. They're really, really good shoes to take photos of, and I enjoy the way the laces kind of lap over each other. I think they're just really cool shoes. Going into day 193, I really like this photo. I just wish I took it lower down to get more of the flames and then the actual like sparks of the flame going up. Would have looked a lot better, but I really like the pattern it shows in the sky. I think it just looked really, really cool. Going into day 200, this is a super simple photo. It's of a light fixture on the roof. I slid the Benchmade bug out through the little slits and took a photo. What I wanted it to look like was kind of like an angel, kind of like, you know, what do you call it, like the background's super bright with the light coming through, and then the item in front is darker. It pulled off really well. I wish I brightened that background more and just had the shape of the knife and completely blacked it out. That would have looked so much better. But I think it still looks pretty good for what it is. Day 201. This was the day we had rain showers, and of course there was a rainbow. I'm gonna take a photo. It was actually a double rainbow, but the second one doesn't show up underneath in the photo, which is kind of sad. But it still looks pretty cool. I like the way the corrugated kind of roof gives you, so usually the way my eyes work, I don't know if this is for everyone, is I look at the bottom of a photo and I work my way up. So I'm looking at the bottom and the lines are making me look up. I look at the trees, I look at the rainbow, and then I look at the clouds. And it looks nice. It looks balanced and clean with the rainbow going across, adding something to look at in that blankness of the sky. I think it's a cool photo. That's what happens when you accidentally click on the search bar of Instagram. It just gives you absolute random crap. Now I gotta find where I was up to. Day 210, it's of a PS5. So really nothing more to say. It's a cool shape. It's kind of like a futuristic abstract look. I think it's cool. To be honest, through here, I just kind of lost interest in photography. I was working full time. I was honestly working over full-time hours. I was working almost towards 45 hours a week. And I had lost interest in photography, videos, everything. I just didn't want to do it. It was too much work. I wanted to come home and sit on the couch and watch YouTube. So this is why the photos look so bad. But I do want to mention day 219 looks pretty freaking cool. This is of the monocoque case of my still dive, like Marine Master, the Marine Master 300 or whatever it is. It was shot with that lamp, but because the lamp has got wooden legs, it's got these metal bits that come across to hold it together. And I found when I took about half the saturation out, and then I turned up the exposure, it made this cool rustic kind of metal look, and it made it look tough. And that's where you get that cross look of those metal pieces coming together with the watch, with the depth of the bracelet coming down. It looked really cool, and it just had like a tough kind of industrial metal look to it. and that's why I'm mentioning this photo. Day 220, again, I had lost interest in photography, so pretty much this photo is just of my Benchmade Mini Adamas sitting on top of a PS5. Snap, edit, take saturation out of it, black and white, post, done. This one's actually something I was thinking about. This is when I was going into my AI phase of thinking like about AI and like how, you know, AI is like kind of taking over everything. And I looked down at my remote while I'm thinking about this, and I was thinking about the video idea, and I looked down and went, there's even AI built into our damn TVs. And I was like, I'm actually gonna take a photo of that. And that's when I took the photo. There's the remote coming across, zoomed in on that one section, and then I pretty much darkened everywhere else except the AI part, just to really kind of emphasize that. Again, through here, I'm like in my weird abstract phase. So I got boots, I got the knob to where the oven turns on and off, like my knife against the wall. I really like this photo. This is of a new jacket I got. We were still freezing during this part of August. And I would hang it up on the door because I would take it to work every morning. And the way it was sitting was I had the collar to one side, then you've got kind of like the jacket together, and then you got the actual like collar, big collar that comes around, and it just looked really nice. And the way it was lit as well, all I did was get that little book light that I have, turn that on, aimed it a little bit lower, and I just snapped the photo. First photo I got on my phone, just one snap, boom, edited it, darkened it a bit, and then I went through each layer of the jacket and kind of added a bit more shadow to where it overlaps, and then a little bit of brightness to that front part, and it turned out really cool. The only thing I wish I did was that background part on each top part of the photo. I wish I just darkened it a little more to match the theme. Again, like I've got the black vent. This is just a vent in my car, the aircon vent. A foggy morning. It didn't even turn out like a foggy photo. I should have really spent more time editing it. The Converse All-Stars, the wear and tear of the back part where I roll my foot. That looks pretty cool. And then day 230. This is of my kitty cat when I visited my parents' place. He was walking towards me and he was looking super cute, wanting snacks. And I just snapped a photo of him, and the depth of the wall alongside him, and then obviously the ginger boy, and then the green of the background and the gravel. It just looks nice, plays well together, looks natural with some nice depth. It was a cool, simple photo. Day 232, I really like this photo, because this is how I just placed the items after I made a coffee. I made a mess. There was coffee everywhere because I was trying to figure out the measurements of coffee that I needed. So there's coffee all on the mat, and then I've obviously been a bit annoyed, so I've kind of just thrown the little coffee tamp down or whatever it's called, and then we've got our other one there. And I took a photo with the foam, and it just came out super sharp. You got that coffee in the foreground, and then you got your coffee instruments in the background, and it looked really nice and warm, and it just felt like coffee. Like I can smell the coffee through the phone. Day 236. I want to mention this photo because this was, again, just one photo I snapped. I just looked at this archway and how the light was coming in, and it was actually in an antique shop, and what I really wanted to do was the foreground antiques were kind of like darkened, and take some of the saturation out and make it a little more black and white for the antique look, if you get what I was kind of meaning. And then that beautiful archway is where I want the focal point to be, where when you look at this photo, your eyes look at that archway and how the light was interacting with it. The one thing I reckon everyone will notice though is if you look at the middle of the photo, where the top of the archway of the actual window is and the top of the archway of the actual archway, in between there was a big fluorescent light that came down. I actually used the AI removal tool to take that away. But the only problem was it left a color difference, and it was clearly visible as it didn't match up properly. And that's the only thing that ruined the photo for me, and it made me not like the photo too much. Going on to day 238, another honorable mention is this is the actual little coffee declumper, whatever you call it. And this was, again, while I was making a coffee and making a mess, that I put it into its slot, and I realized that the coffee in the background looked pretty cool to the foreground where the needles come down. So I took a photo, I turned it kind of sideways so they're coming in from the top left downwards, and it just looked pretty cool. It was very sharp on the needles, and the little coffee stuck to it. So that's why I really like this photo. Plus that coffee on the background on that black surface looks really nice. Going on to day 242, got home from work, very long day, very tired. I was wearing my steel dive. As I turned it over to look at the clasp to undo it, I was like, that's really scratched. And I was wearing the jacket, and I was kind of looking at it with the jacket coming down with the clasp and then like my wrist, and I was like, that'd make a cool photo. So I snapped it on the phone, edited it. The only problem is you got those weird lines coming across just above the clasp where the lighting was, and I really couldn't edit it out. It didn't look really good. Only part of the photo that ruined it for me. Going on to day 244, I love this photo. This is in my top 10 photos of the 365 day photography. If you don't know, this is of a toaster. I turned the toaster on, I let them get red hot, and then I stuck my phone pretty much inside the toaster to get as close as I could and just spammed photos until my fingers were burnt. It didn't damage my phone, it didn't melt it or anything, which is good because I was super anxious of that. I was like, if this melts my phone, I'm a bit mad. But no issues. It came out really good. The bottom of that toaster came out blue, and then you got the depth of the sides coming down, and then you got those little metal beams where it holds the toast, and then you got those red hot like filaments. It looks really cool. I love this photo. Going on to day 246 to day 251, I took no photos for that whole period. I had a massive chest infection. I was stuck in bed that whole time. Almost ended up in hospital, so forgive me for not taking photos during that time. I was going to die. Then I came back at day 252, and it's a photo of the sky. This was a sunrise, and it just looked really nice. Like we had just had a lot of like showers the night before, so these were the clouds that were kind of clearing up in the morning, and the sun kind of hitting them. It just looked really nice. Day 253. This is actually a photo of a what do you call it, like a car hands-free kind of little device. This is a little maglock section, but it kind of made it look like a dome instead of a flat piece, and it turned out really cool. Then I kind of realized it looks like a robot boob with like an X over it, so I don't know why my mind went there. Going into day 260, almost at the end, almost over. This is of my Seiko turtle, I forget what this one's called, but it's got that really cool grenade style background. I love the bezel on this watch, and it's sitting on my belt, and it's got like the little belt clip that's kind of worn in the corner. Like this photo. Again, I made it black and white just because that watch looks absolutely phenomenal in black and white. Yeah, cool photo. Day 261 is of my Melbourne beard oil with the brush. with the bottle. The bottle could have been brighter in my opinion. It just looks really dark and lost in the photo compared to the beard brush, which is kind of overexposed. So I kind of messed up in two ways. Going on to day 262, this is of the PS5 controller with my High Tide Clocks and Color ring sitting on it. Yeah, just a cool, simple photo. Day 263, this is of, again, that backyard area. But this was actually taken 2 days ago, and it was a really nice fluffy kind of cloud, and it was sitting over the tree line. The trees were kind of blowing really nicely, and it was just kind of nice sitting there looking at them. So I snapped the photo, and this is how my editing kind of slowly just progressed into this photo. Yeah, it's a cool photo. I really like day 264. This is of my beard shaver. I got a really close up of it. Again, the last, few photos are taken with my main camera, not my phone. So this is where that quality comes back into it, because I'm actually spending that time using the camera, learning the camera, and developing those camera skills. And this is of the clippers, but are super focused on the top, and it looks really cool and sharp, and like it looks really nice. Last photo for the video, day 265. I don't know why I make that noise. And this is of my pocket watch inside of my antique camera box brownie. It just sits inside of it. And snapped the photo. I had my main light and again that little book light set on orange, and it looks cool. I had I think it was like 20 layers of editing on this one, because I really wanted to have some like softness with a little bit of grain sprinkled into it, just so it had a really nice balance between like sharpness and like an antique grainy look. And I honestly think I nailed this photo. Like, I think it looks super sharp, but like still has that antique grain to it. So at the moment, this is again one of my favorite photos. But that is gonna do it. That is another 165 days of photography since the last video. We only have 100 more days. We're at 265. Holy moly. So there will be one more video coming for this 365 day photography, and that will be coming honestly at the end of the year. That might just be my New Year's video. So yeah, that's gonna do it for today. Thank you all for coming out and watching, and I will see you guys on the next video. Peace.